I'm Aaron Ellis, and welcome to Epic Insights with Ovationz, a Nobody Studios portfolio company. This is the show where we bring you exclusive conversations with world-class experts, advisors, and top talent making waves and shaping the future of business. Whether you're a business leader, entrepreneur, or just passionate about personal and professional growth, you're in for some game-changing insights. Let's dive in. Welcome to this episode of Epic Insights with Ovationz. I am your host, Aaron Ellis. Today I'm joined by Renee Vee. Now, Renee is a dynamic mindset practitioner and mentor. She's an author, a speaker, a speech language pathologist, a mom, a lover of life, and a yogi. She has a passion for empowering the next generation through a transformative and compassionate approach that blends her expertise in communication with the invaluable skills of fostering resilience, confidence, and a growth mindset in children. Renee, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aaron.
I'm so excited to dive into way too much in 20 minutes, but we're going to see what we can do. One of the things I always love to hear about is what brought you to what you're doing today. So what has your journey been that led you to doing what you're doing? Help us connect those dots.
Yeah, I love that because it does speak volumes to people who may be going through a middle of life kind of, is this really it for me? Should I stick this out till retirement or should I really follow my dreams and my passions? And that's really 4 years ago is where I was at. And I made a decision to invest in personal development. Prior to that, I've been a speech therapist for a long time, always wondering, is there something more out there for me? Is there something bigger that I could be a part of to make more of an impact? So when I was presented with this, program to invest in, I jumped without even looking in and, invested a lot of money that, I really had no idea the gifts that it would keep giving me after, initiating that learning about myself. And after I started in that program, it inspired me to understand that what our kids are learning in school is not necessarily helping them in life. Yeah. It's important information, but there's a bridge needs to be made over, what we're learning in traditional academia to what we are experiencing when we leave the comfort zone of school.
Yeah.
And, it's like you mentioned before about, I think you said attitudes in reverse. How their goal is to prevent these children, taking their own lives.
Yeah.
You have to wonder, why do they want to do that? Is it that bad that you think that's your only way out? And I really feel strongly that it's tied to the fact that these kids don't know who they are. They don't know what they want. They're being guided by people who never learned about that stuff either. So there's generations and generations and generations of folks who are, we do our best. I'm a mom. We do our best we can with what we have. But once we know better, we do better. And, once we pour the work into ourselves, our children will benefit from that. It starts with the parent, and being able to pass that on to your kids is invaluable. So even being open to learning more about yourself is, I find a lot of people are very fixed mindset. They don't think they need help. They don't think they don't need a mentor. They know everything, but really everybody has a mentor. If you think about it, Aaron, I mean, even the best athletes in the world have a coach. It just makes sense. And they are succeeding at very, very, very high levels. They still have coaching. They still have someone that pours into them. They still do the work. So that's a big example for me when I think about what I'm doing is I have five different mentors. So, for whichever I need. And the only way to go past where you are as a human is to latch on with others that have like minds and to be able to work together towards something, because we can't do it alone. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, I ended up resigning full time from speech therapy and starting a business with all of, kind of like making bite-sized lessons on what I was learning, these big, huge concepts that I boiled down into a very, digestible, bite-sized pieces that are, and with applicable activities to integrate during your day and your week and your life.
Yeah. I have a could be complex question for you. I have a lot of things racing through my mind that go along with what you said, along with the question that'll come out of all the pieces I want to present, because I'm really curious on something. And I think this is extremely powerful, going to be powerful coming from you, based on what you've already said and what I've read about you. How do you deal with the parents who are like, well, I have a full-time job, I'm doing this, how am I supposed to, and I bring in my aspect of it, because when I speak of it, everybody's like, wow, it's so inspiring, but it also at the same time makes them feel bad.
Yeah.
Because they can't do what I'm doing. So how do you bridge that gap for parents to understand what is their responsibility? And like you said, like I understand that insight into myself has been one of the most powerful things that I could do for myself and for my kids. So I hope there's a question. I hope you understand what I'm asking.
Oh my gosh. I could talk for hours about this, because I think what parents need to realize is that we're all busy. We all have 24 hours in a day. Oprah has 24 hours in a day. Beyonce has 24 hours in a day. When you remove the time component of it, I don't have time. Well, what do you have time for if it's not to pour into yourself and your kids? So I get the full-time job thing. Done it. I'm not minimizing the importance of a full-time job that takes you away from your kids, because most of them do. Yeah. But what's important is what we're doing outside of those hours, right? So, there are ways to integrate really important information with your family. I mean, I don't sit down and tell my kids, you need to learn about self-image. I model it for them. So it doesn't take for me to sit down. I'm a speech therapist. My daughter needed speech therapy. I wasn't the one that gave it to her. I sought out help that could give it to her. So whether it's you as the parent doing it, or you seek out a group that they can be a part of, you seek out a coach for them. There's so many ways of interacting that don't necessarily have to put such a dent in your day of hours. I mean, we have to be innovative with this stuff, right? Like, I don't want my kids to think I'm lecturing them or telling them what to do. But in fact, I've done the work myself. So in that sense, through osmosis, my kids are learning it, and they're showing me that they're listening to me. I'm not lecturing them on it. I'm not giving them quizzes, but I've decided that I come first.
Yeah.
Because by me coming first is not selfish. Actually, it's selfish to not put yourself first as a parent, because your kids need you at your best. And if you're not pouring into yourself, you have nothing to pour out to them. So that paradigm needs to shift of the whole, I am first, because with the mask goes on me first, and then it goes on you. By constantly putting your kids at the forefront of everything, you're depleting yourself. And that's not good. That's worse. That's worse for them. So when it comes down to finding the time or the resources, we have the world at our fingertips. There is someone out there that probably would do it for free for you if you got them into some kind of coaching group, or very low cost. It doesn't have to take millions to better yourself 1% every day. Whether it's exercising your body, or meditating, or doing yoga, or making sure your bed is made. I mean, it's silly stuff like that really propel you into a great day. And it starts when you wake up. It starts with how you treat yourself in the morning. It starts with the thoughts that you allow to remain, and the thoughts that you intentionally put in there to make yourself feel good. And I hope I answered your question. And if I didn't, you can ask it, again. Or
you did. I just want to add a couple more thoughts. I love, I come from a space where I project a space and invite people in. There's no judgment. And sometimes people get confused. They're like, you just said something to me that would usually tick me off, but I'm not mad at you, and I don't know why. I know why, right? Because there's no judgment at it. So the funny thing is when I work with parents, right, and they're just like, I can't get my kid to do this, can't blah, blah, blah. The first thing I ask them about themselves. What are you doing? Are you making your bed? Are you keeping your desk clean? And you basically showcase that. If you work on yourself, because we all have heard this, and it's time to take from hearing it to actually understanding and integrating it into our lives. The kids don't do what we say, they do what they see us do.
Correct.
Right. And as you do that, and just to give an example on that, when my daughter, when when my daughter was in the womb, I was literally talking to her saying, I'm never going to clip your wings. I'm going to cultivate your curiosity and your creativity and blah, 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 right? But it wasn't until she was 3 years old that she saw me in the studio recording music. I had put it all aside, and it hit me that day when I saw a photo of her watching me in the studio. Oh my God. I actually was in integrity with her for the first time, where what I was saying, doing, and thinking was actually the same message. Up until that point, I was only saying things and thinking things, but I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a massive shift. And I saw the shift in her. So I know I think that's a big gap. It's very tough for parents to gather. Like, they have to look at themselves. And the other thing I think that is beautiful that you said is you don't have to be all things to everybody. You don't have to be the expert. There's even, if you look at even schools of thought and, history, you can't be a prophet in your own town is one of the ways that, right? Find other people to help you and work on yourself, and you'll lead the way with your kids. I love how you answered that.
Yeah. You're not meant to do this alone.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that game when you need to seek help.
What would you say to help shed light on that in a positive way, to where we can leave them with some proactive steps and thoughts around that?
Sure. I mean, that is a big mountain, but I think what it boils down to is people learning who they are, learning themselves, right? Doing a study like on yourself. What brings you joy, right? Yeah. What thoughts are you allowing to ruminate in your mind? Because we have like 60 to 75,000 thoughts a day. 80% of them are repetitive and 90% are negative. Don't quote me on those numbers, but it's close, right?
You're close. Yep.
We go to negative town immediately. Why? Why are we so kind to others when they're feeling badly, but we are our worst enemy if we're feeling badly? Why are we torturing ourselves? Why? I think it stems from that lack of awareness. I wasn't aware that I was in control of my thoughts until 4 years ago. It's not something I ever thought about.
Yeah.
You just go about your day, right? You do your things. You go to school, you come home, you do your laundry and all these things, but you don't ever sit with yourself and say, what is going through my mind right now? What am I thinking about right now? And once you raise your awareness as to what you're allowing to maintain in your mind, because those negative thoughts then ruminate and then lower your vibration, and then you feel bad. So intentionally putting in thoughts of optimism, the affirmations, right? The I am thought processes of we need to be our own best friend. We are the only one we are going to live with for the rest of our lives. Why wouldn't we be our own best friend? And that is a huge message that I want people to hear, because it's glamorized when people are overworked, tired, depressed.
Yeah.
Glamorized in our country. And who works more than who? No one gets an award for that. So it's really, let's kind of give the trophies to those who are putting in the work to make themselves the best person they can be. And, whatever that looks like, whatever it takes. But I think with regards to all like the numbers, I mean, I think COVID has so much to do with a lot of this, that it's like an added layer on top of people not understanding what they're capable of doing. And I think that our kids are told when they're little, dream big and shoot for the stars and you could be anything you want. But the fact is that, Aaron, they're not, and I'm not judging, but they are not in a place where people are doing that. Right. So we go to school, we have a teacher, the teacher's in the front of the class, they tell you what to do. But being a teacher might be their dream, but I bet you they have another dream in there. So they want to be a country singer. Yeah. Right. They want to open a salon, but it's something that they don't act upon because if they're scared. So if we're telling our youth, you can do, be, and have anything, but we're not doing it ourselves, we're not setting the right example. And it's very confusing. Just like it's confusing to learn all about social studies, science, and all that stuff and math, and then leave school and have to learn how to get a mortgage and pay my taxes and all these life skills that we learn outside of school. But like everybody needs these skills, everybody. Yep. So why is that not main part of the curriculum? Right?
Totally understand. And that's, I think that's the rabbit hole we could go down, because I've studied why it's not part of the curriculum. We could go down that rabbit hole. It's
Oh, I
really,
know. We're not going to go there.
yeah.
but I guess my message for anyone who's listening who feels aligned with what I'm talking about, it's okay. So if we have the school system and you're homeschooling, which is something that, quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, I frowned upon years ago. I was like, oh,
I think
homeschool,
everybody
what are they
did.
learning there, But
Yeah.
as I've learned and my awareness has been raised, I mean, Montessori school, I was like, they don't know how to follow the rules, those Montessori kids, but when you really think about what those kids are learning, what your kids are learning, it's life skills.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you're in the education system in our country, we frown upon those things generally because, they're not going to have the degree, and how are they going to get into college? And you need college, must have to go to college. But that's not even the case anymore with the computers. People travel. I met a kid, and we were in Greece. I met a kid who was 22 years old. And he was at the thing, and I got no conversation with him. I said, so what do you do? He's like, I'm a digital nomad. He just travels and works on his computer.
Yep. Yeah.
How beautiful is that? It's beautiful. Hey.
It is.
So I think what we need to really, really like nail home for parents who are struggling with their children is don't do it alone.
Yeah.
Don't do it alone. There's no need to do it alone. There's going to be someone out there that is feeling the same way as you, whose child is having very similar experiences that you feel helpless toward helping. Don't do it alone. Seek someone out. There's groups. I'm in 8 million groups on here.
Mm-hmm.
Get support.
In the last minute here or so, well, two things. First thing is, like, I love to hear the personal side. I know, as I stated it, a little bit different than you did. You're a mom. I think you put life lover. I put lover of life when I wrote it. And can you share a little bit about your family, what you do on your off time, or
Yeah, sure. So the fact that I'm a life lover, that was a later in life discovery because I made the choice to love my life. And I think a lot of what I try and teach my children, I have a 15-year-old freshman in high school, and I have a 10-year-old who's going to middle school. And I think what they've taught me is that I've learned a lot from them, as I'm sure you've learned a lot from your children, of just how to have joy and be joyful. And it inspires me every day. But once I learn that it is a decision to wake up happy, it's a complete decision that we are fully in control over. So when I wake up and my husband is lumbering around trying to get ready for work and and I'm like, smile, good morning, smile, because that lifts your whole spirit up. It starts your day the right way. So my family is my children, my husband. I've been married 19 years. And I live near my family, my mom and my dad and my sister and her husband and her kids. And we're just, we just have a good time. We support each other. We love to travel. We love to work out. All of us exercise, including my son. He goes to the gym now. And that I think is heavily based on the fact that he's seen his father and me since he was born exercising, getting healthy, being healthy, eating healthy. So it is, they have a front row seat to our parent movie with popcorn. They're sitting there watching everything we're doing. And, not that I'm not perfect, but I'm trying my best to constantly become better. So they become better. So my family unit is better and fulfilled and happy. And when the SHIT hits the fan, I have strategies to help with that. How do we get out of that depression? Yes, we go in waves, right? So like some weeks are great, some weeks are crappy, but it's what we do in the crappy moments to get ourselves out of it that matters more than anything else, because we're going to go through bad things. It's just like, people are going to die. Someone's going to be sick. You're going to fail a test, whatever it is. But what tools are we giving our kids to make themselves feel better during those really like the valleys, right? Yeah. Not just be excited at the peaks, but at those valleys, what are we doing to get you back up there? Because it's temporary. It can be temporary, So we want to make sure that our kids have those tools. And I could go on for days. I don't want me to.
I know we're over. I just wanted to say I made a note. I think we're going to have an episode 2 with you. I would love to dive in some of the strategies with you.
Oh
I
yeah.
have some other ideas with that too. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be a great addition to what we just talked about.
I would love it.
We'll have some actual practical steps they could take. I think it'd be amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's my jam. I love it.
Final thought.
Yeah.
If you can do a short final thought, we're at 25 minutes. Final thought.
I know. I think I have to repeat it. You're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You're not alone, no matter what you're going through. I've been through some stuff. All right. Like this all stems from a lot of adversity that I've had. And I think once you realize that no one out there is perfect and no one out there hasn't gone through these things, it's how they're handling it that makes the difference between someone who wants to throw themselves off a balcony and somebody who accepts what's going on and wants to help others who are going through something similar. So I think that's been it's been downloading in my brain every day. We're not alone. You don't need to do life alone. There are I've made the coolest. I just connected with you today. You're my new friend. I think if I asked you for help, you would help me. Right. So I think we need to really there's no shame in asking for help and doing things. Someone is out there that has been through what you're going through or knows a lot about it. So, find your people and your life is going to be amazing.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Epic Insights with Ovationz. I hope you found our conversation as insightful and inspiring as I did. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with anyone who could use a little epic insight. Remember, the journey to growth never stops. So keep learning, stay curious, and let's continue building something extraordinary together. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.